There's a moment every year that most people miss. Welcome to the Warrior Mind podcast. I'm Greg Swanson, and today we're going to be talking about the threshold between the snake and the horse. That is the Chinese New Year symbols, right? So there's this threshold of releasing, which is the snake, and developing the resources you need to move forward, which is the horse, right? So this doesn't arrive with fireworks or bold resolutions. It doesn't come wrapped in motivation quotes and productivity hacks, but it quietly determines whether next year becomes a breakthrough or just another repetition of old patterns, right? The final days of the year of the snake are not about planning, they're about shedding. And the year of the horse is not about wishing, it's about movement. So, why the final weeks of the snake matter more than the entire year? Well, the snake completes the cycle, it doesn't start a new one. Unreleased weight sabotages your future momentum, and most people skip release and wonder why progress collapses. So, if we look at it, we want to look back on the year 2025 and see what no longer serves us. Now, this is tougher than you may think because we often keep things that are comfortable or familiar, even if they don't serve the better purpose. There's some unhealthy habits that we could release, but we just keep them like, oh, it's no big deal. But we don't know, right? And if you're an entrepreneur in your own business, there could be some limiting beliefs that you've been holding on to that you need to let go. So this releasing things that no longer serve you takes some deep reflection because again, we want to keep the familiar. Our ego wants to keep things that are familiar. It doesn't want to start new. It would love to stay in the year of the snake. It doesn't want to go into the year of the horse. So as we take a look and do a inventory of the things, we have to really look at it from a meta perspective, meaning above ourselves. We can't be attached to our limiting beliefs and attached to our thoughts about what works and what doesn't. We need to be really detailed, analytical about it in some sense. If you want to lose 20 pounds and you've been eating out 4 nights a week, but it's so convenient. I don't have time to cook at home, right? We can make all the excuses. You have excuses or you have results. You don't have both. So that might be something to consider is where have you been trying to go to and why don't you have it? And most likely there are some behavioral challenges there, some limiting beliefs that are there that are holding you back. And so those are the things that we want to take a look at and release. The snake archetype it's precision, discriminate, and shedding. So we want to be precise in what works and what doesn't. We want to be discernment. I mean, we need to be able to discern if this is correct for us. It's awareness over action. Often, with New Year coming, we just take action, and we're not aware if that action is a repeating of a process or a behavior that has produced little results. We don't get a good ROI on that. And removal over addition. A lot of my clients come to me and they set goals and they need to add. And it's like, no, if you're adding more stuff that doesn't work to stuff that doesn't work, you're going to get more stuff that doesn't work. So we need to remove it completely. It's like you have a closet full of clothes from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Oh, they're all so comfortable, but I don't have any room for my new clothes. I don't have, well, you got to get rid of those old clothes to make room for the new clothes, regardless of how comfortable you may be in them. And so it's identity shedding, not emotional venting, right? So we have this identity to ourselves. We are the identity we formed, we lived in 2025, and we want to shed that identity. That means our limiting beliefs, our values, our behaviors, our emotional, spiritual, physical, and mental strength. We want to take a look at that, shed the things that doesn't serve us, instead of just pissing and moaning about how it sucked. Right? That's emotional venting. We don't want to just sit there and piss and moan about it. We want to see the identity, shed that old identity like the skin of a snake, and then be able to grow into a new one. What must be released before moving forward motion is possible, right? I mean, like what has to be released? You have to release something. Think of it as a boat tied to the dock. You got to release the dock for the boat to move forward. So outdated roles, obligations, identity markers, all of these things. Well, I've always done it that way. And I always, I just can't say no to my friends. I can't do, well, yeah, you can, you just don't want to. And so those are outdated roles or archetypes, if you will. Then these obligations that you set up to do things. Oh, call me anytime. I'll take you to the airport. And they call you at 3 o'clock in the morning and you do it. That's something that may not serve you, or it may serve you. All these examples are just things to take a look at, right? Physical and digital clutter that fragments focus. There is nothing worse than having a messy home, a messy office, a messy car to fragment your thoughts. You're all over the place. The external represents the internal. So generally speaking, if your desk is a mess, house is a mess, car is a mess, your mind is a mess, meaning you're thinking all over the place. And one of the best ways to get focus again is to clean up a mess. Clean up your office, clean up your closet, clean up your house, clean up your car, and that'll get rid of it. All the digital stuff, all the apps you have, all the notifications, all of that stuff. Just get rid of it if it doesn't help you. Well, what if something happens? Well, if something happens, somebody has your phone number, they'll call you, right? It's not that difficult, because what we want to do here is shed the stuff that just doesn't work. It may feel comfortable, but comfort is not what we're after. Growth is what we're after, and growth requires pain and discomfort. Comments that drain energy without meaning, or commitments that drain energy. Watch your commitments. What are you committing to? Are you committing to because you're supposed to be a friend because, oh, they'll get mad if I don't do it? Or are you doing it without any meaning? Look at all of those things from that shedding perspective and see what you can get rid of. And here's the cost of not shedding. You're going to have motion without progress. You're going to think you're doing something, but you're just in a hamster wheel going around and around and around, not making progress. You have speed without exhaustion. You're just going to keep going, going and going, and you're not going, and you're going to have this exhaustion that goes with it, as opposed to going someplace further on your path. Chaos mistaken for momentum. When things get really chaotic, there's a lot of stuff going down around, and it can be seductive. It can think, oh, we're moving, but you're just in a whirlpool, just going, spinning around in circles, but it seems like you're going somewhere, but you're going nowhere. And this is what happens when you don't shed the old parts of you. Now, the horse archetype, in contrast, is about momentum, direction, and discipline. The horse amplifies whatever you bring into the year. So if you bring in laziness, you're going to get more laziness. But if you bring in focused attention, a good plan for what you want to do, looking at your wheel of life and indicating what areas need work on, the horse is going to amplify whatever you bring into this new year. It rewards decisiveness, not hesitation. Make a decision and then correct and continue. Hesitation, he who hesitates is lost, right? So we want to be decisive. We want to start taking action. If we don't get the results we want, we correct and continue. Forward motion punishes unresolved weight. So we want to keep moving forward. This unresolved weight of what we're carrying from the past, it's going to punish it, right? So the horse is going to help us move forward and potentially lose some of this unresolved weight. The resources required to move with the horse are many, many, many. I'm just going to cover a few here. Clear direction rooted in values, not impulse. If you don't know what your values are, don't guess, because you're going to guess, oh, I'm kind, I'm generous, I'm this. That is more of your virtues, not your values. But there's, get to a coach, do a values solicitation, and or look for some online values assessment. The assessments are the best way because it's biased. You have to choose one or other. Would you rather go to work or go to the gym? Would you rather go on vacation or watch TV? Right? And you do these things and you have to make a decision. And at the end, it's not 100% accurate, but it's really a good mirror to reflect upon. So you want to get clear directions for this next year rooted in your values, right? Energy management, not willpower. Willpower is kind of like when you're exhausted, you push through it, you push through it, and eventually willpower fails. It's been written in the book Willpower that it does fail. We wake up with a certain amount of energy, and every time we make decisions, should I do this, should that energy, that willpower drops. So we want to have energy management. We want to do things that keep us energized and stay away from things that suck our energy or our energy vampires. And in standards and commitments that survive low motivation. So you want to have a standard. What's the minimum you're going to do? Let's just say working out. I'm going to go to the gym minimum 3 days a week. Great. Monday, you don't feel like it. Well, then you do Tuesday. Then you do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you make these commitments that you stay to when your motivation is low. Anybody can keep their commitments and standards when their motivation is high. But when it's low and it's telling you to go back to bed or don't go outside and run in the rain or don't do the dishes, don't do your laundry, whatever it is, you need to have some standards to live by. I call it a code of honor, but you need some standards to live by. So here's the bridge from shedding to movement. Release creates space. So when you release something, it creates space, and space creates clarity because you have less to focus on, you have less to discern. So you want to release things. That means it creates space, and that space gives you an opportunity for a clear vision. And clarity determines direction. So when you're clear about what you want for a next year, you've created the space, then the direction is, oh, I go this way. Here's my North Star. Here's what I want to accomplish in 2026. And then direction turns effort into momentum. So there's a buildup here, right, of releasing to create space, which determines clarity, which determines direction, which determines effort, and that effort goes into momentum. And so the choice is at the threshold. We are at that threshold right now, and you have that choice. Every transition carries a decision, and we're in this transition from the snake to the horse. You can drag the past forward and call it experience, or you can shed it and call it wisdom. We can just keep going, or we can learn from it, leave it in the past, and move on. The snake teaches release. The horse demands movement. The conscious warrior does both. If you're ready to step into the year of the horse, 2026, with clarity, discipline, and forward momentum, begin with the identity, not your effort. And book your power strategy session today, and we can begin your transformation. If you want to see the show notes on this podcast, you can visit warriormindcoach.com. While you're over there, you can find more useful information in the form of blog posts and podcasts and how to book your power strategy call. Since you'll be on the internet, please follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, all under Warrior Mind Coach.